42 pouring in my cup. In the session real loud, good gas, yeah, you know we about to roll it up. Bring the bottles to the session, big tab, go ahead and just live it up. Get lit one night, after that, we can go ahead.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon E, and we on 95 South Podcast once again. I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on here and be able to chop it up with some great people, with my partner in crime or whatever. And just do what it do. So I want to introduce my man on here, man. This is my right hand man, left hand man. You know what I'm saying? We just like two palms put together. You know what I'm saying? Out in this game, been out here in these trenches for a minute, getting it in, getting a lot of great opportunities thrown our way, man, and being blessed with a lot of great situations. So I want to introduce my man, no other than your baby mama's favorite host. You know what I'm saying? Jacob the Great in the building.
What's up, man? What's good? What's good, man? We always, blessed that we give an opportunity, man. Glad to be in the land of the living, man. Another day to get it right. We always blessed with a chance and a choice.
Amen. Exactly. So before we introduce this next young man, I just want to throw out a couple of announcements real quick. So as we told you last week, we got 8. I want to make sure I'm clear on what we got going on. We got 8 new radio stations that we affiliated with, but we got 133 markets across the world that we basically connected to. So for people that don't understand kind of radio, especially when you're in the internet space, when you have the online radio type space, your reach can actually be a little bit more broader. Meaning that instead of you just being local in your city or your town or your state, you can touch the world and what you're doing. And that's the kind of opportunity we got now, where it's just not about just being on YouTube or being on Spotify or this one or that one. It's about being on a major scale when it comes to even FM radio, online radio, and being able to touch more people at a quicker rate, at a higher volume. So I just wanted to put that out there before, we kind of, before we got too deep into it. So throughout the show, I'm going to actually say some of the names, and then I'm going to actually, if you're watching live on visual, you can see the names across the screen. So that's how we're going to play it today. Shout out to Village Global Network, who gave us this opportunity to begin with, and then we're just going to go from there. And a shout out to 810 Studios and She Real Radio. But go ahead and introduce this young man, you know what I'm saying, Jacob. You know what I'm saying? Get this show started.
But so, correction, bro. It's 144 countries now, and we only have 27 more countries to go. And, yes, sir. And so, yeah, man. Blessed with the opportunity, man. To be nationally and globally, and shout out to everybody that's been supporting us, man. And the support has been phenomenal. And we love all y'all, man. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the superstar of the hour. It's blessed. And shout out to PR Jonathan Coleman from Media Blast and from the Blacktopia blog. Shout out to him, man. Me and him, always talking, and he always, sending me some phenomenal people over. So without further ado, man, we have Mac Nova, a native of Detroit, Michigan, man. So we're blessed to have him, man. So Mac, what's good with you, man?
I'm just happy to be here, man. Thank you, both of you fellas, for having me tonight.
Yes, sir. So, man, now in your bio, this is what's so phenomenal to me. Your mom, it says in your bio, man, that she wanted you to listen and to understand the music of Beethoven, to really get your musical ear in tune with, would you tell her that you wanted to do music? So, man, how does Beethoven kind of merge the sounds that you look for as, not just as a hip hop artist, but just as a universal recording artist? Like, so when I say universal, I'm not the label, but the universal ear of the sound of music. How did that studying Beethoven help you kind of, navigate?
Well, I was kind of blocked in that road because my mother did not let me listen to any type of rap till I got out of middle school. So being from Detroit, I got heavy doses of Motown, of course, but the Beethoven really stuck out because I was private school. And at that time, it was a study that said if you play classical music while your kid tested or whatnot, that they would do better. Years later, we found out that wasn't true. It's just music that you like. But I ended up I really loved it. Like I just wanted to understand what this man was doing on this. Is Beethoven's 19th Symphony, to be specific. I just haven't heard those instruments before. I heard how they was used, and at that point, it was just part of my personality. It was just like when somebody come in the house and toss on Pac, I was coming in and tossing on Beethoven.
Oh wow, man, and that's so interesting, man. And you know, one who studies music or a teacher who teaches music was like, oh, okay, so you're a different type of artist because you understand what music theory means. You know,
Yeah,
most people that listen to classical music or even play instruments from a different type of level, whether it's jazz, blues, country, jazz, whether it's bluegrass, you know, folk music. Um, if they know music theory, they really understand the levels of music and the sounds that can go to different levels.
yeah. I mean, having a good balance of music is always a super advantage to have in hip hop because hip hop is the only genre where I can add any genre to it. A lot of stuff don't mix, but as far as hip hop goes, I can pick any genre I want, get me a sample, and have me a hit. But you got to have an ear for music before you jump in the hip hop world to even recognize it.
Okay. So, man, what made you have such a passion for music, and when did you know? When did you know, like this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life, and I want to share my gifts with people all over the world?
Okay, this story is not a straight line. All right, I didn't start doing music until I got out of college. And the reason before that, just to be honest, is that when I met people on the street, dudes that told me they were rappers, they were broke. I'm gonna be 100. They were broke. Their personal life was in shambles. So coming up, I never wanted to be a rapper. I had my own idea of the stereotypes or anything. So I go to school at Ohio University. Um, just doing my thing. I get sick. I got a tumor on. Got a tumor on my pancreas. So that shut me down. I had to do a little bit of chemo. But long story short, I ended up moving back to Toledo with my father, who had moved back from Detroit at the time. During that situation, I got me a job at a paper printing plant. I'm working there, doing my thing. Still, music is not in my life. I'm in my early 20s. Never even thought about making a song. I freestyle every day, though. That's my therapy. I've been freestyling since I've been 7, but I never thought nothing of it because, I'm just having fun. So I'm in the break room freestyling with one of my coworkers, and he's going crazy. Like, I'm like, hold up. Like, okay, I know I'm good, but he's like, nah, bro. Nah, you going to the studio. So I go to the studio, start making music, addicted. Addicted.
Okay.
Every part of it, the form, for performance, from creating it. So when I learned how to be a rapper by going on YouTube, like how to perform, how to make a song, I taught myself everything until I got, in the spaces where I was with other artists. But before that, I was about to be a nurse, bro.
Okay. That's what's up, man. And I will say, man, it takes a pretty smart person to be a nurse, man. With all the, anatomy, man, like for real, man. They that's a real noble profession. So, okay, that's what's up, man. So, for you, man, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, man, how did it register with you when you became an artist, man? And so, how did you keep yourself fully equipped mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? Because music is a lot of emotion, man, and a lot of time those daily emotions carry into the pain of music, the enjoyment of music. Even with some people, they make dark music because they have no other way to express themselves but through music. So how did that work for you?
I mean, the biggest challenge for me when I first started music was telling my mom. Like, I'm a schoolboy. I don't get B's. I'm on the roll. I'm pre-ACT. I do all the extracurriculars. So even though I was a grown-ass man, I still was like, I need to be good enough. So when I turn this on in front of my mama, she don't diss me. So,
Right.
so my first, before I even put a song out, I was really checking the boxes to make sure I was dope. And I understand that music is subjective, but when it comes to your fundamentals, you can't skip those. So I made sure I knew what a bar was, knew how to make a song, go to the studio prepared. I did all of those things. So then when I stepped into the music arena, the only emotion and spiritual stuff I had to deal with was what I had personally. As far as the music, when I go, everyone knows I'm professional. I got a reputation for doing my thing on stage, and I work hard for it.
Okay. And so from that point, once you figured out you can do it, and once you say you always knew you was nice because
Right.
you used to freestyle. So with you freestyling, did you used to chop people's heads off?
A couple times when I'm in a cipher and somebody accused me of writing. You know,
Oh,
like you spitting written or whatever. So I'm about to go up your whole outfit. I'm about to go to your dog sitting next to you. I'm about to do whatever I got to do to show you that none of this was written before I start going on. But as far as battles go, nobody really did that because I already had a reputation for the dozens. You know, I was a poor boy in Detroit, so you know I had to hold my own with my mouth.
okay, cool. That's what's up, man. Icon.
Yeah, what I want to say, first of all, I appreciate the fact that you came on and you was honest, because a lot of artists that come on, you hear the story, oh, I've been rapping since I was coming out the womb, and all that kind of crazy nonsense. And, you know, but then it took them 25 years to get a deal or whatever. And they're like, oh, but you rapped since you were 7. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you came on and come on and actually said what it was, and that you was a late bloomer, late starter. And the one thing I do appreciate is the fact that you actually had a career mindset that was outside of what, you know, you wasn't just, oh, I'm just set on being a rapper or entertainer, that you actually had a career. So it shows that you can actually be smart and be a rapper, that you don't have to just be some cat from the street. So you don't have to be a drug addict, or you don't have to have the worst story on earth to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? That you actually, you know, had a mindset to be something, which do something with your life.
Thank you.
So, and then secondly, man, I was listening to your catalog real quick because I know we kind of booked you kind of last minute. So I was scrambling trying to listen to get as much information as possible. And I like to listen to the songs just to see where the artist is coming from. And I like the song Dirty Hands.
Oh, yeah.
Like me, that stood out more than anything because I'm like, hold on. So this man made a whole song about the everyday average worker, you know what I'm saying, from the construction worker to the nurses to the whatever.
Amen.
And to me, I think that's what's missing in hip hop. You are what's missing in hip hop as far as on a mainstream level. You know what I'm saying? And the way your production, the way you put your words together, you know what I'm saying? You took me back to the old school hip hop. So basically, what came about in your mindset when you did Dirty Hands and just your whole style?
Well, my style, my favorite rapper is LL Cool J.
Okay.
So when I first got a hold of music,
wait, before you go into it, now it's funny for you say that. I don't want me to cut you.
No problem.
But you go into that. Me and my son were just talking. My son is 22 years old, and he said that most kids his age, do not know who LL is as a rapper. They only know him as an actor. And I put on my timeline on Facebook, I said, if you're a rapper in this game or trying to be a smiling rapper and you don't know who LL is, you need to either stop listening to music or you need to go all the way back to the beginning and do your homework, because without LL, it wouldn't be most of the rappers, and it dang sure wouldn't be no Drake. But go ahead. I just want to put that out there.
I appreciate that.
But before you get started, Mac, just to piggyback on what you said, Icon, about your son, I was recently in Atlanta, you know, kicking it with y'all. So your son tells me we know LL is the greatest of all time.
Go.
People don't want to give him his props. The
Fact.
first MC to own his own masters. Uh,
Fact.
uh, 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 the first MC um, to literally put New York City on his back at 17. Um,
That's the
um,
crazy
um,
part.
and 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 the first MC to have a platinum album and get nominated for an Emmy. Whew.
And the first rapper to go his first 10 albums to go platinum. A lot of people don't know that.
And when I got a hold of him, I had no idea. It was just when my mother said I could listen to rap, people start handing me stuff. And my mom and dad are separated. So my stepmother at the time, her son was older, and he gave me all this old stuff: EPMD, Method, Wu-Tang. So that's why I started with the first like real modern album I listened to was Hard Knock Volume 2, Jay-Z. So before I got to Jay-Z, I had already been indoctrinated with the old school hip hop. You couldn't get LL out of my head. So from that point, he made me, as far as LL went, I understood that I want my lyrics to be understandable. So that means you can go and repeat every word if you got to. I wanted to be aggressive without being violent. And I also wanted to be able to show kids that you can give off an image of being tough without having to act like you're going to kill someone because you're not. So as far as Ugly Hands went, my dad worked at the same power plant for 25 years. I saw him going in and out of work every day, and I knew that was the reason I was able to go to private school. I knew that was the reason I had, cleats and things that I needed. So I would never knock down that. And of course, I noticed in the game about a lot of dudes knocking the everyday struggle like that ain't what their parents did. Somebody paid for a lot of these people's rap careers with the job they was going through every day to help them get in the studio and all the little stuff they needed to do before they got famous. So I just wanted to show them people that they who make the world go round, despite what the game's saying.
Okay, so on the production side, I see that you kind of have like the rock feel to it. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of you're a little different as far as like your sound when it comes to that end. What kind of pushes you that way? Because in this era, that sometimes when you kind of get outside of that hip hop realm of sounding, that it's not always the most popular sound that people kind of gravitate to. So what made you go kind of on that route?
Just first of all, it's a shout out to Detroit Rock City. It's still one of the rock capitals back in the 60s and 70s. So I gotta let people know my bag is big. I'm gonna pull from everywhere. I'm gonna grab rock. I'm gonna grab classical. I'm gonna grab reggae. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make the song the best that it can be every single time, and there are no limits. Lately, as far as the rock thing, I got a guitar player that I'm a fan of that attached itself to me. So we've been making music together, and it really opens the door for me because the truth of the matter is a lot of people don't want to book a rapper. They don't know what they're going to get. They scared of the crowd and all types of things. So having him with me and bringing this sound lets me get into them places where they might be a little more fair-skinned than we are.
Okay. So basically, when you go into those different sounds and those different emotions, do you listen to the beat first, or do you have something already that you're ready to go that route? Kind of how do you decide when you want to go those different?
Just a second, I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh, okay. Y'all stand by for a second. My man had a little technical difficulty on his end, but while we waiting on him to come back in, like I said, we got a few new affiliates, a few new partners.
What the heck?
Tell y'all about.
I don't know if y'all can see me again, but my whole computer just cut off.
Yeah, we can see you. We definitely can see you.
What
we
the
can hear you too. I don't know if you can hear us, but we got a few affiliates that I can go ahead and tell y'all about real quick. Or whatever. Like I said, we got 8 new markets, 8 new radio stations, 144 markets. And until he comes back on with us, that technology today is something crazy. And also follow us on 910 Sports at Entertainment Network on YouTube. You can always book us at 95south at gmail.com. 95south podcast at gmail.com if you want to book us or get an interview. And a few of our affiliates, a few of our new partners is Culture Shock Radio out of Canada. So that was one of the stations. Another one is Cuzzo FM out of Germany. That's another one that we have. We also have Godfidence Radio right here out of the U.S. We have another station, LLR, out of Ohio. That's one of those stations. That's one of those clean radio stations, definitely for the kids, for the young people. And we got Sasquatch Boot Hill Radio out of the USA. Excuse me. We got Southern Soul Gold. You know what I'm saying? So that Southern Soul music is big right out here in the USA. And we have the Tattoo Shop radio out of USA. And last but not least, we got WAPTA, and I'm saying it like exactly how it's spelled, so you don't think I'm talking with a lisp. WAPTA Music FM out of Guadalupe. So those are the 8 stations that we are going to be on starting tomorrow. Our first show. I know some of y'all may already seen it here on Facebook, but our first show will be airing tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on all these stations. Our first sports show, 910 Sports, will be airing on tomorrow morning from last week's episodes on the radio station, and then and that's going to be every Friday. And then the 995 South podcast episode from last week will be on 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings every week. So y'all can tune in on all these stations. Please support us. Please support those stations so we can continue to rise and build our numbers up as we go along. So we just waiting for my man to come back on. While we waiting for him to come back on, something that I was talking about earlier, and I wanted we may not be able to have a chance to get into it because it's not really a basketball issue, more of a life issue. So I can talk about it here on sports. But I wanted to get my brother's opinion on this. It's a show that comes on Sirius XM, and it has Eddie Johnson, former basketball player, and it has a guy named Justin Germany. Justin Germany is sort of like your Skip Bayless, your Stephen A. Smiths of the world, who came from probably some kind of form of journalism but never played the sport. And he said something disturbing to me because he's one of those people that don't like LeBron James for whatever reason. And he said something really disturbing to me that kind of threw me off. But he said that basically that what LeBron, if everybody knows that's been following the news and sports, that LeBron James' son, Bronny James, went into cardiac arrest, which is a form of a heart attack, basically. And that he said basically that money can't buy everything. And when I heard it, the first thing I thought to myself was, why would he say that, make that comment? And secondly, I thought that, to me, I'm not always about somebody getting fired, but I think they should at least be suspended for making a comment like that. What was that even necessary to say, that money can't buy everything? You think when LeBron James found out his son had a heart attack, that the first thing he thought was, oh man, let me go over here and see how much I can get these doctors to save my son's life? Think he was thinking that? No, that's not what that man was thinking. You know what I'm saying? So why would you make a comment, an insensitive comment, just because you don't like somebody, and you make a decision to make a comment of that sort? So I don't know, Jacob, what you think of that, but I know you probably didn't hear it because it said it was on the Sirius XM. I know everybody don't have Sirius XM, or whatever, but I listen to the show on a daily basis.
I just think ignorance is bliss. That's a very ignorant statement. A very cold-hearted statement. That's a statement of somebody who don't value anyone's life but theirs. You know, that's a narcissist statement. You know what I mean? That's not a statement of a person who, understands that this is this man's son, and we want the best for a child, because for him to be 18 years old, and this is the second time in 12 months that he's been in cardiac arrest. Man, that's huge, man. So my thing is, I don't know, because there's a lot of supplements out here now. There's a lot of, and we can say, man, a lot of the kids now are not built like the old school kids were. Like we actually played ball in the sun, 100-degree weather. You know what I mean? And so our body structure is different. Our blood flow is different, man, because that's what we adapted to from the time we were 6 or 7 years old. So when we got to playing sports and stuff, it ain't much bother us, as long as we can get to what some water was, and as long as we can go in the house and cool off for a minute and then come back out, we was all right. But it's so many supplements that the children are taking now, and all supplements may not agree with your bloodstream, may not agree with your heart, may not, agree with your arteries. So anything could have caused it. So the thing is, I just tell parents, and ask questions to these coaches. Cause sometimes a personal trainer or a strength condition, they might tell a kid about something, they don't share it with their parents, man, and this kid, may go out and, cause it's over the counter, you can get it at GNC, you can get it at Walmart, and just get it themselves, and their parents know nothing about it. And so, you know, those supplements, man, is definitely something in the fine print on the back, that you must read. So, prayers up for Bronny James. Prayers to LeBron, his wife, his kids, his mom, and prayers to the whole James family, man. And we definitely hope Bronny gets better.
And shout out to R Butterfly Vons for chiming in, supporting Mac Nova on here. Shout out to our sister I see on here, Quinetta Thomas. Yeah, man, and what y'all was saying is heartless. And not to mention the weather is manufactured a little different these days. So yeah, so I just think that until we kind of understand exactly what's going on, because when he made the statement was made pretty much in the midst of him still being in the hospital. So we don't know what really caused. And the doctor was on there, and the doctor said that they only have like 150 cases of cardiac arrest a year. So it's not common for people to have cardiac arrest. I think in athletes, they were saying in athletes it's only like 150 a year. I don't know, across the sports landscape. So this is not something that's common across the thing, and it has a lot. Some of it can be somewhat genetic, which in the case probably not with him being genetic, because we never heard nobody else, LeBron James family or LeBron or anybody having this situation. It says it has to do a lot with the electricity in your body that could have caused it, or whatever. So and it could, like, if DeMar Hamlin went through the same thing, and it was one of those fluke things where he might have just pushed himself too hard, or whatever it was. Now on the flip side of it all, I just hope this young man can get first and foremost. I hope that the guy restores his health fully, and secondly, I hope this is not could be the end of his career, because a lot of times, especially they saying it because it could be a regular heartbeat. If it's a regular heartbeat, then that's a way different kind of scenario. Because if you remember, and I know you do, Jacob, that's what Kent Gathers dealt with.
Right. Or even if it's an enlarged heart, that could be a very severe problem too.
Yeah. And those type of things you don't really detect. You don't even know unless something like this happens. That's when you kind of find things. So I'm just hoping either way he has a full recovery and at least can live a full and healthy life no matter what, or whatever. So that's another thing. Now, to kind of get into another story, we lost our man Mark McNova. Hopefully, we can get him back here in a minute. But we're gonna continue on to try to continue to try to have the best show we can and entertain the folks. So I was watching the show earlier, and this kind of bothers me. And me and you talk about this sometime when it comes to our disconnect sometimes. And Cornetta, I don't know if she's still on, but a disconnect between, and even our Butterfly Vons maybe can answer if they're on, the disconnect between black men and black women, and when it comes to relationships, and it comes to communicating with a black man. And we talked about this a little bit, matter of fact, on the Father's Day special. So I happened to be watching Love and Hip Hop. And it was like I want to say it was Erica. She's married to Kurt. No, I mean Rashida.
Rashida married to Kurt, yeah.
Yeah, Rashida married to Kurt, and Mendici is married to what's her name?
Yandy.
And basically, Mendici was going through a situation where he was on Shannon Sharp show, and he was talking about how basically, I guess back when he was selling drugs, he did this thing where he had to give up his mom, basically not give her up, but like let them know where his location was, because he was making this big drug deal basically with some heavy hitters. And I guess if the deal went wrong, they could go kidnap his mom or do something to his mom. So it was like he had to put his mom up for collateral. But he was like, at that time, he a young man, teenager, whatever. So you're not really thinking straight. You're just trying to get to the money. You trying to follow the rules of the streets. His mom didn't like the fact that he kind of brought all this past up and all this kind of stuff. And, and then I guess Kurt he been going through some stuff too. I guess trying to stressed out about opening up the store and this restaurant bistro and all this. And what the disturbing part of this conversation was when Rashida and Nandy was together, they was talking about how both their men are kind of going through something, and I guess everything bothers them. They get upset, and they was like, "Oh, these men are just, they're just, basically they doing too much, and they, basically it was, because I'm trying not to use profanity because whatever, but they was basically trying to say that the two men were being soft and being weak in whatever in their thought process or way it was acting.
Stop right there. Come on, okay. This is what I'm gonna say, and I don't really care who I feel. I'm gonna say it as calm and rationally as I can. Society has internal female thinking to when a male can show emotion, or if he feels like he needs to show emotion, that he's soft. And so when he doesn't show emotion, he's cold-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
So which one do you want? Where's the balance at? Or when he don't want to argue, or he be like, you say, oh, you ain't got nothing to say. He said, you said it all. I'm just listening. So therefore, he tell you he's just listening, because if he say something, he know it may come out wrong. But don't just jug and just keep asking. If he said, you said it all, I'm just listening. I understand where you're coming from. And if he wants to let it go like that, why not allow him to let it go at that moment? Because he know at that very moment, it's already gasoline and you already boiling. And so he's thinking rationally, well, I'll come back this at a later time, when she's calm and I know I'll be calm. And we can talk about it and come to a compromisable situation. But oh no, they don't be wanting that. They want you to answer now. What happened, and then if something happened, I can't believe he said that. How can you love me? You said that, but he tried to let it go. But you didn't want him to let it go. So where do men feel like they have the balance at? Like if you can't show your emotions, but when you feeling dark and lonely, you don't say nothing. You get called cold-hearted. And then when you just want to walk out and clear your head, Then you call a runner, he always running. So just tell me, where's the balance?
Well, let me see. So, our butterfly Vine says life is simple. Period. With respect to intimate relationships, a man has to know that a woman is like the ocean, and to never drop his triple A card, attention, appreciation, and affection. Women must be sure to stroke a man's ego, support his dreams and visions, allow him to feel, and try to understand him in emotional moments. And that's very true. And but my thing, a lot of times I think with women, um, I believe that they they feel like a man, if he does or says certain things, that he's weak. So like Jacob was saying, that he don't want to say nothing. He just he holds it in. When he does finally go off, they wonder why he goes off, or why he snaps the way he does, or whatever the case may be. And I'm gonna say this, and so since we have this kind of conversation, since it's kind of switched a little bit, or whatever, since we lost a young man, like I said, I hope we can get him back on. But since we
How
lost.
and I couldn't. So, Miss Vaughn, so listen, I really disagree when you say that black men hardly have a balance. This is not true. Black men hardly have a balance because y'all won't even allow us to be in tune with our own emotions. So the balance is out the window because you guys already have things figured out. You don't know what it is being a male walking on a black man walking on American soil. And so if we feel like we can't come to the ones that's supposed to hold us down and love us continuously and unconditionally, then we feel like we can't turn to nobody. And that ain't all women. That ain't all women, but a lot of them. You know, a lot of them have this masculine energy, so they don't even know how to feminize themselves to be in an emotional conversation. So, the, so the conversation goes into an uproar.
Hmm. So let me say this, and Cornetta and our butterfly, I'm gonna have a real conversation with y'all, because me and my brothers talk about this all the time, and I want y'all honest opinion when I say this, and I want some real feedback if y'all can give it to me. But hear me out before you get too upset about what I'm about to say. A lot of times when a black man runs to another race, especially the white woman, because the white woman kind of handles the black man the total opposite way that I'm just explaining to you. And I'm just keeping it 100. I'm keeping it 1,000 with you. I'm not saying that y'all wrong all the time and nothing like that. What I'm telling you is, if you want to ask, sometimes when a black woman get upset and think it's always, a man get money, he runs to the white woman, and this, that, third one, white woman. I'm telling you what it is in a lot of those cases. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen how the white woman sometimes handles the black man, with that kind of thing of allowing him to be that emotional man, be who he wants to be in that relationship. Now, on the flip side of all of that, sometimes when a black man, sometimes he feels so much pressure to be Superman with a black woman. With a white woman, it's almost like he's saying, if he fails her, well, you don't understand me. He could use that excuse, especially for that weak brother. He could be like, well, you don't really understand me. You don't understand my culture. You don't understand where I'm coming from. So I can be this, so I don't have to be everything to you, because you don't understand where I'm coming from. Whereas a black woman, you can't use that excuse. You can't be that whatever. You have to always be Superman to a black woman. You know what I'm saying? So let me see. So okay, elaborate for me, our butterfly. Elaborate. What do you mean by that? I'm kind of really. You said that that's because the black society has placed the stigma on our black men. So what do you mean, place the stigma of what on the black man? Okay, let me see what you said. You said, I'm trying to get into Uncle. We gonna have some real talk tonight. Um, you said that's why I said hardly some men um have a balance, a have a back do hold on, let me go that back up. That's why I said hardly some men do have a balance because of his environment. Okay. So what environment you mean? You mean growing the way he was raised, the environment around the people he hangs out? Like you said it's a icky sticky most black men express that black women nag and complain. um I mean, you could say. I mean, yeah, you could say that black men. If I'm gonna keep it 1,000, you do have black men that do say that they feel like sometimes black women maybe complain more than other races of women. I have heard that before, or whatever. I don't necessarily think the complaining part is the biggest reason why a man will go to another race. I think it's more of what I was saying before, where I think a lot of time a man sometimes feels like he has too much pressure on him to be everything to a black woman, and a black woman is going to call him to the carpet when he's not. I think that's maybe be the biggest reason why. You know what I mean? And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? Black boys are taught not to show emotions. Showing emotions make you weak. Yeah, ever since we was kids, when we were growing up, you on a football field, you on a basketball court, you hanging out with your friends. Somebody do something, say something to you. You was told not to cry. You was told not to react. The only reaction you was supposed to have if somebody do something to say to you is anger. That's why a lot of times what black men grow up and they have an angry personality. They go off in situations where they shouldn't go off in and get themselves in trouble. They make that wrong decision at the wrong time because of the fact that because of the fact of the way we were raised. It's hard to turn that on and turn that off. See, I'm gonna tell you how I use that analogy. So just to say, for argument's sake, let's just say, I'm gonna say argument's sake, but let's just say you got a person that's a police officer or military or a football player. These are probably three of the most mentally, psychologically things you could do that teaches you violence. Now, when you hear about a football player having domestic issues, when you hear about a police officer having domestic issues, when you hear about a military person, especially Army, Marines, Special Forces, whatever, having domestic issues or violent experiences, it's because you asking somebody that you trained to kill, that you trained to be violent, to turn that violence off at a drop of notice. Everybody's not built like that. Because I know
Right.
some people say most of them can just turn it off, or most of them don't get in trouble, most of them don't do that. But everybody's not built like that to turn off, on and off that faucet when things happen to them in their life. If that was the case, then we wouldn't have no violence. We wouldn't have no type of experiences in the world. Period.
So I did send Apostle Q and our butterflies a link. So if y'all want to come on and give y'all peace with the live audience, and we'll be glad to have you, because this is an open floor conversation, and just to know from a woman's perspective on what y'all see and what y'all don't see is important in the conversation.
That's Quinetta coming on now. Hey, sis.
Hey, look,
Hey, y'all.
How you
what's
doing?
going on?
What's going on? I don't know if you can see
Gi-
me. It's
gi-
a little dark.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah,
little
give us
dark.
some light so we can see you.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
They said, and then Real Butterfly was saying, our Butterfly was saying, it can sometimes be that now he can do what he wasn't able to once did. A black man being with a woman outside of his race is bigger than what a black woman is or is not doing, and is more like a slap in the face to the white man. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I don't really necessarily think a black man dates out would like to specifically date a white woman because of the slapping in the face of the white man. I don't think men that do that think that deep. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think they don't think of it on that level. You know what I'm saying? I just think that
I don't.
I don't think it's
Nah.
that deep. You know what I'm saying? Like it's deeper for a black woman when a man steps out his race to think it's disrespectful for a black man to do it against them, especially if a black man becomes successful and has money. You know what I mean, or whatever. And so I think that hurts the black woman more when a man takes his money and spends it on another race. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel about that, Cornetto?
Honestly, I don't really have an opinion because my mind is open. So like for a black man to decide to date a white woman, it doesn't affect me. Like I don't really have any feelings towards it. Now I do know that some a couple of my black male friends have vocalized that the reason they crossed over was because the Caucasian woman was a bit more humbler, if that's the word I want to use.
Mm.
They were a lot more receptive. They were willing to listen more. They weren't so aggressive or it's another word they use. But basically, they were a lot more approachable and more easy to deal with. And that's the reason why they decided to cross over. And they also did admit that it was kind of the lazy route they took by being with a white woman because they knew that they weren't going to have. So it's like a catch 22 in a way, right? Because they knew they weren't going to have or be held accountable.
Is
they
what I
they weren't
said.
going
Glad you
right.
said
They won't be
everything I said. Everything I just said, you confirmed. You know what I'm saying?
right. They won't be held
You
accountable the
confirmed.
way a black woman would hold them accountable. So it's like a catch 22. But I
But
mean,
accountability is one thing, but me paying for everybody else's shortcomings is a whole nother thing.
I agree.
And and
I
and
agree.
so I think it's when it's me and that person, like I don't have nothing to do with what Timmy did. Like and for one, then you shouldn't even entertain the thought of me and you having something if you ain't went through that healing process. Because if God can't help you, Lord knows Jacob can't help you with it. For
Right,
real.
but listen, but check this out, right? This is what I'm discovering. I don't care how much healing you do. Life is going to keep lifing. So once you overcome one area, there's another area that's coming around the
Hmm.
corner because life
Hmm.
is going to keep lifing. Or a lot of times, those areas that we think we've already overcome, we discover once we get into certain situations, those situations begin to trigger and poke and pull, and those issues resurface because we didn't fully heal the way we thought we did. I'm saying all that to say is all of us got baggage. I don't
Hmm.
care who you is. Everybody got something. I believe what's important is finding somebody that is willing to unpack with you.
Uh-huh.
And I
Mm.
also believe that communication is paramount. In other words, you've got to be willing to be open and honest about your stuff. I mean, you can't walk around with the representative pretending to be somebody that you're not. I honestly feel it's important from the jump to be as open and as honest as possible with the person that you're seeing a future with, dating, whatever the case might be. That way, that gives that person the option of choosing whether or not they want to continue, if they can handle your baggage.
The
I,
representative, huh?
the representative. The representative, sir.
Oh
What?
my.
It be the representative for me, but it's the
Oh
truth
my.
though, and I feel like, and I think that's the misconception, and I feel like as far as there are a lot of women, especially of our descent, that don't understand the art of communication or don't understand the art of listening. I will say that, but I feel like we can be taught, and I feel like if the men that we're dealing with would be vulnerable, or if the men that we're dealing with would open up in a way, it would allow us to kind of slide into that feminine energy. Y'all don't understand that whether we want to admit it or not, y'all are leaders in more ways than one. Like y'all have a way of just gearing things and taking charge and shifting things into motion, whether we want to admit it or not. So if you open the floor by being vulnerable and honest about who you are and how you feel, it literally automatically shifts us into that feminine space. And on the flip side of that, I must say, we as women have to also create a safe space for a man to open up. So, like I said before, it's a catch 22. Both of us got some wrong in this, okay? We're not gonna be bashing on each other on tonight. Everybody got a part.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, oh
it's,
yeah.
I'm gonna say
Everybody got a part. So I kind of what I want to elaborate on, and I'm so glad Apostle Q stepped on. Um, Masculinity and femininity. So I heard TD Jake say something. I heard Jamal Bryant say something. You know, I heard even Sarah Jake speak on this. You know, and they was talking about the masculine side of the female now versus the femininity side of women that they grew up with back in the day, grandmamas and great grandmamas, and how they always had their femininity. It peaked out all at all times, and some people feel like there's too much masculinity when it comes to the females now, and how does one hold? How does a female still hold that balance when she's doing everything? You know, as a single mom doing everything, and you know, trying to teach these kids, and and sometimes she can be a bit masculine, because if you're raising boys, you do have to have some masculine energy, just so a mother a mother's sons know that, oh, I can't play with mama. So
Right.
with that being said, but I kind of can see their point, on how they call the natural feminine women, they overlook them, and how these women with the with the masculine energy, she tough, she gangster, she this, she that. You know what I mean? So I gotta have a problem because I don't want no woman that's gangster. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You know what I mean? Because King Jacob don't bust hammers. I don't pull capers or none of that. I don't bust hammers. So if you gangster, you need to take that gangsterism for someone that's gangster. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Okay.
not that one.
Okay. Let me tell you this, right? Let me tell you this. Okay. I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for myself. I've been delivered from the gangster. Amen. Praise God. There's
Okay,
still some
okay.
parts of me. There's still some
Hmm.
parts of me that still have that gangster side that I'm constantly asking for deliverance from on today. Right. This is the thing. This is the thing. The right man can make any woman melt. The right man. What am I trying to say? As aggressive as I can be, as hardcore as I can be, I have encountered men and I have been in the presence of men, just their presence alone, just their authority alone, just their stance, their their masculinity. And I don't mean toxic masculinity. I don't mean like super overly aggressive or rude or like just their essence alone forced me into my feminine energy where I felt safe. That's the thing. If a woman can feel safe in the presence of a man, that gangster coming down. I don't care who you is. If a woman, like most, I can't say all, most women can be submissive if they feel like the man that they're submitting to is trustworthy. If they feel like the man that they're submitting to, if I give you my all, are you going to destroy it? Are you going to run it into the ground? If I'm going to submit to you, what am I submitting to?
Okay.
and
You understand what I'm saying? If I don't, I'm sorry, Eddie. If
go ahead.
if I don't if I don't feel like I can trust you with my life, because essentially that's what I'm doing. If I'm giving you the reins, I'm trusting you with my life and everything that comes with it. If I can't trust you to do that naturally, my masculinity is going to come to the surface because now I got to take care of my business. I've been doing it all this time by
Okay.
myself, by myself, because I had to. That's what happens. The masculinity comes to the surface because of survival. We have to survive. And in order to survive, we got to do what we got to do, right or wrong. But if I'm in the presence of the right man that can show up as a man for real, like a real one, all that gangster masculine, that stuff going out the window. Because now I feel safe enough to turn into a girl.
Okay. But you know, I just say, you know, I own bus hammer, so you know, for you to say what you gonna do to me, okay, sweetie, you know, you know, we just gonna end this real quick. We ain't doing this. I go my way, you go your separate way. Uh, um, I love you, but God love you more, and that's who gonna save you, not King Jacob. Believe
Well,
that.
I
I'm
think
just
too.
saying, I ain't
You
like
didn't hear
like
nothing I just said.
I
You didn't
did,
hear
I did.
nothing I just said.
I'm just telling you as far as when it comes to me, like I don't bust hammers. I'm not on that type time. So so you know, like the threats, cause I've heard my homeboys tell me, man, she said such. I'm like, oh wow, that's a little deep, bro. That's a little aggressive, man. I was like, and they be like, I was like, well, man, you know, you just, I guess you gotta do what's best for you. You know, I ain't here to judge, but as far as me, bro, you know, that's not something I do. You know what I mean?
I
Uh,
get that. I
And I
you
think
understand
it
that.
go both ways. I think it could go both ways. Like basically, what I mean by that is it could be a woman who was come up in life and she was sweet. Uh, she was was already built to be submissive to her man. Then she get in relationships with one, three men, and all